Hey, Stoney here with another game of Mechabellum, and if you're struggling against Fort FANG, this is the game for you. At the bottom here, I am playing as a Rhino Specialist, and my opponent Hex is playing as a Cost Control Specialist. The MMR of this game is 2100. I started out with the Sabertooth and the Arclight, a classic aggro configuration, so I'm going to put them in a very classic setup on asymmetrically on the right-hand side, pairing each Sabertooth with an individual Arclight. As for the third Arclight, I like to put them just behind the tower, so that will help me defend against any sort of deep flank crawlers, but it also helped me defend against any sort of incoming crawlers should my opponent choose to use that strategy. All right, my opponent started with the Tarantulas and the Fangs and decided to also go asymmetrical aggro. Right now, the problem is that he is putting his units on the opposite side. A round 1 tower upgrade. I don't usually see that, but since you are a cost control, so you do start with the extra 100, why not? With the Tarantula start, there is a strategy with Tarantula Steel Balls against Sabertooth on the line. It's something that I have tried many times very successfully. And since my opponent is on the opposite side, I fully expect him to start going Steel Balls. One is just to rush my tower, because Steel Balls don't really care what level your tower is actually at. They just power through it. And then 2, with the Steel Balls, can start building or start extending over to my side of the board. All right, a couple interesting items. Mobile Beacon is actually not bad. Haste Module is not bad as well. I took the Mobile Beacon because we are in the opposite side, so there may be an opportunity for me to use double Mobile Beacon just to make sure that for example, I can put a crawler over here and Mobile Beacon them up and down, forcing his entire army to follow that individual pack of crawler up and down, while the rest of the army kind of converge onto his tower. But instead, I took the first one, and I'm just moving the rightmost pack of units over to the center. I've also reinforced my left-hand side with a Sabertooth and Arclight. My opponent picked up double Phoenixes. Very smart move into the Sabertooth. I don't have any AA, but I'm doing all right here on the other side with my double Arclights. All right, round 3. Couple cool items. Rhino Assault is an amazing card, especially into an aggro player because their back lines are usually undefended. My opponent took the Absorption module. He's currently holding 2 modules. With the Rhino drop, you can set it up this way. So if you already know there's a crawler behind the tower, you can use a deep flank crawler to put his behind the tower crawler away, and then put your Rhino drop closer to the tower that you want to target. So when this round starts, you'll notice this Rhino will actually run straight for the tower without any problems whatsoever. At round 3, my opponent unlocked the fortress and got 2 of them, each with an item. And this is a very high tempo move. He's already got plenty of fangs at the front, which means his board is already half set up for a Fort Fan maneuver. Now, whenever you see something like this, you have to react super fast, because if you don't, then the forge will simply outscale everything you have on this board. For a long time, I believed that the Sabertooth would be a good counter against forge on the line, right? The argument was that a Sabertooth has the ability to take double shot, They're only a 200 cost units, which means you can just get a bunch of them. You can triple deploy. But as I climb up the MMR this season, I realized that is simply not the case. The forts, especially with the ability to do fan production, will always outscale your Sabertooth unless you're already in a winning position. So in this case, I am not in a winning position. I'm actually losing on the strong side. So I am not going to go hard into the Sabertooth. Unfortunately, this turn I added 2 squads of Mustangs, mostly to deal with the Phoenixes. And these Mustangs are going to be a critical unit in my upcoming battles against these forts. Alright, I got our first unit drop. Steel balls is a must pick here. Right now, I am preparing for the inevitable Fort Fang combination. So in order to do that, I mean, there's a couple weaknesses to the Fort Fang combination. The first weakness is that it takes a while to go fully online. In order for the Fort Fang to really work, you will need to have multiple forts. You will need to have fan production. And then ideally, you'll also need to have portable shield. Since my opponent already took a loan last round at round 3, he doesn't start with a lot of money. He's also extremely weak with chaff clear, which is why he took the level 3 Typhoons. So if I can get all of his units with tempo before this build is fully online, then I should be in a good spot. So I've decided to take some very high tempo units. The steel balls are extremely high tempo. Level 2 steel balls are notoriously difficult to deal with. I took range on the steel balls, putting the steel balls just slightly ahead of the Mustangs, and also slightly away from the forts. I had a missile down here just to get rid of this pack of fans very quickly. I was hoping he wouldn't put another squad of chaff right away, and this should allow my level 2 steel balls to lock onto this level 2 forts very quickly. Level 2 balls into level 2 forts is always a very dicey situation because your steel balls essentially get one-shotted. With level 1, it takes 2 shots to kill a steel ball, so as long as you can keep up the levels, I can always take energy absorption, and the level 1 forts would never kill any steel balls. Alright. The steel balls are also extremely good into Typhoons as well. The Mustangs taking care of business on our far right, and then the steel balls taking care of business on the left. Efficient Giant is offered. I think that's going to be the card for my opponent. For me, I wanted to take Photon Coating. Photon Coating will change the breaking points for the Steel Ball Fortress engagement. So right now, this Fortress does just over 10k damage per shot. Level 2 Steel Balls has 9,000 HP. But with the Photon Coating, I get to reduce the damage by 30%, which means this Fortress can only do around 7,000. Therefore, this forge would need to 2-shot this pack of level 2 steel balls, giving them a chance to finish off this fortress. 2 more forts come down, and they're going to complete the line over here. I was fully expecting that, so I will be adding a little bit more steel balls. Okay. But now my steel balls are keeping up with the level. So this level 2 forge will take 2 shots. Actually, no, this is the one with the item. So unfortunately, it's still one-shotting my level 3 steel balls. But I did notice my opponent's severe lack of chaff clear. Fan production was clicked this round, so things are starting to get a little bit dicey. Ooh, and the steel balls getting picked off by the combination of Typhoon and the Fortress. Not good. Now, the good thing, though, is that I do still have quite a bit of level 2 Mustangs. So as long as my steel balls can take care of this Typhoon, this force will probably just take forever to get through my Mustangs. Alright, round 5, another good round for me. And remember, the longer this game goes, the better it is for my opponent, because he'll get a chance to fully take the forts online. Another round of unit drop. Wasp is pretty useless. Raiding is also pretty useless. Marksman, there's really nothing big to hit, and using Marksman to deal with the forts is just bad, especially if they're producing fangs. I expect my opponent to take the Phantom Rays, because he will need to put armor to stop my Mustangs from doing the chaff clear duty. And I also wanted to take Phantom Rays with armor, so I can put them in front of the Typhoons. So we're kind of thinking of the same thing right now. Now, the only difference is positioning. I have my Phantom Rays slightly behind my initial Fangs, which means at least some of these Phantom Rays will be drawn towards my Fangs, while all of my Phantom Rays will be hitting his Phantom Rays. So at least I have a very favorable exchange right here. The other Phantom Rays, however, will get to live for a very long time because I have no units I can actually destroy them. And for my opponent, he continues to add on more forts. Right now, the fans don't have shield just yet, but they will inevitably. And it gets super scary. A round of missiles, exposing my steel balls to these forts attack. And this is where the range is so important. Without range, the steel balls will have to run in front of these fans and most likely get killed. But with range, my steel balls can now fight from a relatively safe distance. Okay, locking on one of the forts. Can we get this level 2 forts, please? There it is. But not quite finishing them off, which is quite scary. This is the level 2 forts with the absorption module. Okay, not bad. Still have a lot of Mustangs here, but I don't know if I'm able to bring down multiple forts, especially if there's still Phantom Rays in play. We'll have to see. Come on, steel balls. There it is. Very nice. Okay, had a pretty good exchange, and the tower is absolute clutch here. Able to get through the Phantom Rays, also the Typhoons, which means the Phantom Rays should probably carry me for the rest of this turn. Very good tower timing here. Looking at the HP, I think it would take one more turn for me to kill my opponent. And if I don't kill my opponent next turn, I might be in a bit of trouble. All right, round 7. Amcor is a great card. We can use that on the Mustang. So looking at the board here, I have a couple of threats that we can safely anticipate. The first threat is that my opponent is probably going to put even more Phantom Rays down in order to deal with my Mustangs. My Mustangs are my only chaff clear, so without the Mustangs, my steel balls are stuck shooting at these fangs. They don't have any shields here, but they will. So in order to combat these Phantom Rays, I decided to buy a single melting point and tech them up with energy diffraction. Since we already have the Amcor, I think I'm going to put that on the melting point, or I can put it on this high-level Mustang. My opponent decides to add 2 hackers, which is quite surprising. I feel like for my opponent, he really needs chaff clear so that his forts can lock onto my steel balls, which are now level 4. Level 4 steel balls actually do really well into level 1 and 2 forts. If he continues to adding more forts, or if I feel like my steel balls are just dying too quickly, I can always hit energy absorption, because aside from the ability to suck the life out of these forts, they also get 40% more HP. So changing the breakpoint a little bit for these, especially these level 2 steel balls, they now get to survive 2 shots. The Rhino goes down once again. My opponent completely forgot about this Rhino drop and is falling for the exact trick once again because the crawler will be pulled towards the side. The melting point is starting to work onto this Phantom Rays, and once these Phantom Rays are free, the Mustangs are able to do what they're good at. The steel balls are locking onto this level 2 forts. We're taking down this tower. The melting point is still alive, and now they're targeting these fortresses. And we still have so many steel balls left over, not to mention Phantom Rays now in the sky. And I think that should be enough to take down my opponent. All right, and that's going to be GG. So taking a look at the board, for the last round, if my opponent were to use, instead of these very expensive level 3 hackers, what if he just levels these fortresses, or better yet, take punch onto these fortresses? I don't have any EM, and punch are really good into destroying medium-sized units like these steel balls. So we're going to jump right into this game as my opponent, and we're going to see if punch changes the equation. All right, for my opponent, I think steel ball production is probably the best bet. And we are going to level up some of these forts. We're going to put a steel ball production here. And we're going to take punch. And we're just going to keep adding forts. The lack of chaff clear is a little bit painful. Let's see. We could put down... I mean, the Typhoon, they are... Suppose they're doing all right. All right, first thing first, we are going to get rid of this crawler. We're also going to get rid of some initial chaff so that when the steel balls do come. And then we'll probably need a little bit of chaff clear. So a single arc light here just to deal a bit of chaff clear. Should be fine. And then we are going to get rid of the crawlers here. And then next turn, we're going to go harder with chaff clear. We'll see how that works. All right, let's see. So we got the melter. We got lots of missiles coming down. Okay, steel ball, locking on. Punch, getting rid of the pack. Punch, getting rid of the pack once again. Punch, getting rid of the melting point. I mean, sure, we still got a Rhino, still taking out towers, and we still have high-level Mustangs. But I feel like we're doing a lot better than the previous game. And now with the steel ball production, I think I might get his tower. And level 3 Typhoon's winning out on the other side. And this is a lot of damage. This is 3 forts with fangs. And these fangs aren't even shielded, which means next turn, he would just put down even more forts. He'll get shield on the fangs. Heck, he might even get mech rage on the fangs to help with the chaff clear. And he'll be in a great spot. So, didn't understand the hacker play. I feel like punch with forts on the line is just such a powerful move. It clears out medium-sized units, no problem. And until your opponent gets EM, which I will inevitably get with these melting points, you have 1 or 2 turns of this surprise. And since you're running giants, 1 or 2 turns is really all you need. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you want to see more videos like this, here's another one for you. And I will see you on the next one.
Prepare your tactics. Mechabellum's calling. Deploy your fortress. The battlefield's alive with swarms.